A few moments ago, before we went to break, we were looking at what was happening in Minneapolis, the protests that are in the streets there. And I mentioned, thinking back to our time during Operation Midway Blitz, there is a new documentary called Shouldering Sanctuary by a local team behind this. And we want to go ahead and bring in the director and lead cinematographer, Ben Kolak, who is joining me now as they get ready to debut this to many people with a fundraiser that's going to help a lot of families in need. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate you covering these important issues.
Sure. Let me just first and foremost get your reaction to what is happening in Minneapolis as you are getting ready to debut your documentary about what happened here in Chicago.
I don't know what more I can add to the conversation there. It's a sign of the tactics moving across the country, getting more headlines to invoke fear and distrust, and it's really just a sad and difficult moment.
I watched coverage for quite some time last night of people in the streets after the second shooting there by federal agents, and immediately, for those of us here in Chicago, you think about nights in Broadview that got very contentious between residents and federal agents here. Tell me about making this documentary.
The process really started a year ago when we saw that from the incoming Border Czar, Tom Homan. He was speaking a lot about Chicago. We thought we would really be well positioned to cover it and to really use the tools of documentary, the more visceral and character-driven approach and space that you have in that form, as opposed to, say, journalism, to document the experience of Chicagoans. And really, over the course of the year, it's aired towards a number of community leaders. There's a lot of hesitancy around representation and fear because of the way in which the situation's been ramped up. With respect to Broadview in particular, our documentary includes Rachel Cohen, who was a lawyer with Skadden and quit kind of in protest when the firm made kind of condolences to the Trump administration, and as well as Reverend David Black of First Presbyterian Church. And it was really moving to hear their motivation for being there and the good that they feel that protest can do to impact thoughts and change policy.
Yeah, I remember when Reverend Black was shot in the head with those pellets outside of the Broadview ICE Processing Center. Who else did you have access to in making this documentary, or did you reach out to in making this documentary?
Sure. So one of the figures we spent a lot of time with was 40th Ward Alderman Andre Vasquez, who kind of totes himself as the most accessible member of Chicago City Council. I think if you asked any alder person, they would also say that. But it was really insightful for us to see how he thinks about his work and what motivates him as chairman of the committee on immigrants and refugees in the city, and how the city's trying to cope with, essentially being, for lack of a better term, attacked by the federal government via fiscal means, via policy means, via really any means necessary, because they don't see eye to eye on some policies. And Andre Vasquez identifies also, at least in the past, as a hip hop artist, and spoke to us about how his background as a battle rapper helps to inform his mindset on politics, and to think nimbly, and to not shy away from any attack, and if nothing else, to be smarter and sharper and more innovative. And that's really what we've seen Chicago do. In so many ways, it's been a opportunity for organizing and coming together in a way that hopefully will continue to inform and inspire our city after this difficult moment is over.
Yeah, we're called the City of Broad Shoulders. Is that why you called this Shouldering Sanctuary? Or tell me about coming up with a name.
Yeah. We're still arguing about it. And what we're screening tonight, it's really a work in progress. It's maybe about half of the scenes that I think will eventually be in the film. But yes, that's a reference. We were also thinking about the title Hands Off Chicago, which of course is kind of a collection of different organizations in Chicago that came around with that protest movement. So we didn't want to kind of co-opt that title or make it seem like the film was directly associated with that. And so, yeah, we're thinking, what are some other kind of actions and images? And yes, to your point, I think one of the key things that people associate with our city is Carl Sandburg's famous poem. And I feel like the degree to which that also ties into the immigrant history of our city, that's really what he was talking about, the people that from the beginning, as Jean Baptiste du Sable made Chicago as I think many people like to say, the greatest city in the world.
Did you look to hear like the other side of this? You mentioned Tom Homan. Did you look to reach out, or did you attempt to reach out to anyone on the other side of this and at least just kind of hear their thoughts on why they approve of what's been happening?
Sure. Well, it's been tough. Yes, we have tried to reach out to any genuine advocates that feel that what's happening in Chicago is going great and exactly what should be going on, and we have yet to find somebody directly to speak with us about that. Of course, there's other media that speaks to that. One of the things we draw on quite a bit is the congressional hearing on sanctuary cities that happened this March, where you hear from a lot of Republican congresspeople that had some shocking questions and things to say about our city and our mayor. But yes, beyond that, there's certainly within the city people supportive of Trump, people looking to work with the administration as a way to make for better outcomes. And so one of the principal people we spoke with was the restaurateur Sam Sanchez, who was part of starting an organization, the Committee of 100 of Latino business owners across the country, looking to work with the Trump administration for immigration reform or really just better outcomes. And it was really telling hearing from him, he was a big supporter of Obama and other Democrats previously, how he's really felt left behind, not respected by the Democrats in their inability to make comprehensive immigration reform over the years. And so with that, really sees the support of Republicans as like, well, what else can I do? What else can I try? And so he was certainly one figure, and it's something we're still working on. The ICE agents themselves are a big part of the documentary. We've combed through the 40-odd hours of body cam footage that got released around Thanksgiving and have included a number of scenes where you really hear their voices. And, I really feel for them. They're not the ones making this policy that's brought them to Chicago, and they don't have the tools, they don't have the cooperation to be able to achieve, whatever ends they're doing, which almost leads one to think that they're just there to make a spectacle. It's really not about the supposed policy goals of ICE. At least that's kind of been my takeaway from going through those many, many hours of footage. And,
I was asking you that because you have encountered some resistance with this film. Tell me about that.
Yeah. It's been a challenge. There's been a number of I think first off is, anything with access. That's one of the biggest challenges as a documentary filmmaker. Yes, kind of negotiating representation and who's comfortable being in a project. So that's really been foremost one of the challenges, and that's part of why we're doing the work in progress screening today, to get feedback with a small audience, before it's done, and see what's resonating, what's problematic, and think about how we can make a more impactful film. But yes, beyond that, even in setting up the screening today, there was a number of theaters that we reached out to rent, as part of their business, that weren't comfortable with screening it there, that they would think that participating in that would put some kind of target on them, which I certainly respect and understand. And in this moment, there's enough challenges that theater owners are facing. So we were really happy to be able to partner with the Edge Theater, which of course has a great reputation and history of supporting really edgy and innovative work.
One of the hardest things, I think, for many people, journalists alike, when you do go out and you shoot video of things, is you have like all of this video that now you need to whittle down to what the story is that you end up telling at the end of the day. How many hours did you shoot?
We're still shooting, but yeah, we're definitely over 100 hours for this project, and it's really been a team effort. The producer Fatima Omar, other camera operators, editors, Ian Resnick, Isa Kibayo, and our other producer Kara Mitchell, as well as a number of interns from some of the great colleges and universities in Chicago. And so we really think about all our work as informed by both having a theory of change, so it's going to make an impact and reach audiences, make them think differently, as well as learning and growth opportunity for our team. Mm-hmm. And so really so much of this project has fit well into that, and we're excited to share it.
So tell me more about your event tonight, when you are sharing it with some people in the area.
Yeah, of course. So we're partnering with an incredible organization, the Media Burn Video Archive, which started over 20 years ago. And it's basically a collection of independent film like our own, and video and what have you, going back to the 1960s. And so we'll be screening a documentary by another incredible Chicago filmmaker, Mirko Popovich, Between Uncertainty and Hope, that is about immigration raids and policy and issues back in the 1980s, and really sets a great historical context that what's going on now is not new. It's part of a much longer challenge and trajectory in how we think about immigration in America. And then we'll be screening a cut of our film. It's about 40 minutes long, and then that will be followed by some discussion, hopefully some inspiration from a number of incredible Chicago alder people, Jose Fuentes and others, as well as activists. Antonio Gutierrez with Organized Communities Against Deportation. So yeah, it promises to be a really meaningful, hopefully inspiring event, and something that we hope to do more in the spring when the film is done, to be able to share it with other communities, particularly across Chicagoland, but also across the country. As you know, with your reference to Minneapolis, of course, the situation in Los Angeles, but these cities it seems are really kind of a template for the Trump administration, and with the in giant budget granted to ICE, it seems like these same tactics are going to be rolled out really across the country. And so we want to share the experience in Chicago to inform people in other places of how we've dealt with it, and tactics, experiences that they can use for hopefully better outcomes, and also community building in their towns and cities as well. Yeah,
you mentioned Alderman Fuentes. I remember that interaction that Alderman Fuentes had in the hospital with federal agents when they put her in handcuffs and took her out of there.
Yeah, it's really shocking. Both the conduct of the federal authorities, as well as the strength, the resilience, the the conduct of our elected leaders and our other community leaders, and honestly, just everyday Chicagoans. It's one of those things where every time we pick up the camera for the project, we continue to be moved and inspired, and we feel it's such a privilege to get to capture these moments and share them with our community.
And do you think, listen, you said you started working on this last year, at the beginning of last year. We never know at the beginning of a year how it's going to end, so you couldn't have foreseen how things were going to develop throughout last year. You're kind of working with a moving target here. So, you said you hope that it's out at a certain time frame, but do you think you're just going to have to keep going back in and editing as things are happening?
Sure. We don't take a very precious approach to our film, so yes, we will continue editing it with another project I made about activism about parole reform in Illinois called Stateville Calling. There's a period over a couple months where every time we showed the film, it was a different cut as we would keep working on it. So we definitely approach our work more like improvised jazz musician than a Hollywood director. Where, all right, what cut are we going to show today? That'll certainly be the case for a little bit. But setting up these events is a way to hold ourselves accountable, and we hit export on the cut we're showing today, last night around midnight, and we'll set up some more events in the spring, and that will ensure that we have some new cuts by then that we can share.
Yeah, and for people who are just meeting you here on Chicago Live or just hearing your name, give us a little of your background. This is a massive undertaking that you're doing right now. What is your background?
Sure. So I've been doing video production in Chicago since I went to school 25 years ago. And it's a small production company. I mentioned some of my collaborators. It's a 6-person team right now, and we serve nonprofits, artists, documentary filmmakers, and journalism outlets. We're called Truth and Documentary, and we're out of the South Loop, kind of Chinatown area. And the last film that I directed is called Cat City, and it's about Chicago's love-hate relationship with feral cats. You can see it on Amazon or Canopy, and it takes a similar approach where it really uses the whole city as the main character, as a way to think about how we treat outdoor cats and what's unique about our policy in Chicago as a jumping off point to really look about how we relate to our neighbors and think about community and the urban space. And really a lot of those same themes are at play in Shouldering Sanctuary.
You mentioned working with nonprofits. The event tonight is a fundraiser. Tell me a little bit about how you all are raising funds, what you're doing with those funds, and what people can do if they want to support your efforts.
Yeah, that's great. So there's so many incredible organizations working around immigrant and refugee issues and rights in Chicago, and we felt it could be cool to really go right to the source. So we direct on our Eventbrite page for the event somebody to basically a composite of a lot of different kind of individual GoFundMes and what have you that families and individuals that have been impacted by ICE have put together. So it's a list, I think 50 or 100 different individual folks, supporting people that have incredible legal fees trying to help their loved ones, or have had to move, or have lost jobs, or what have you. And so you can find our Eventbrite page and get linked to that, and we're just asking people to pick one that speaks to you and support it. And also thinking that that's a way that somebody can hopefully have a direct connection, hear another story through that fundraising effort, that they have to take the initiative to decide who and what they'd want to support themselves. Where
will people eventually be able to see your film on a wider basis? I mean, are you going to try to shop this, or trying to get it in theaters? What are you trying to do with it?
I am inspired by your optimism. The documentary media landscape is really a challenging one. So the onus is on us to get it out there, and so we really appreciate being able to share it with your audience to today. It will be streaming somewhere eventually. I think in the short term, though, we'd really like to keep it under wraps so that it can have more appeal for in-person screening events, because we find something really magical happens when people come together to watch a film, and that it can be a great organizing tool. So it'll be available certainly at some other community events in Chicago this spring, maybe into the summer, and then probably towards the fall or the end of the year, it'll be available streaming more widely, perhaps just on our YouTube, or perhaps we'll be able to partner with a streaming service or something like that, as we did with Cat City.
All right. Thank you so much. Great being able to chat with you today, Ben.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for watching Fox 32 Chicago. Subscribe now for the stories that matter and never miss what's next.